Hey, good morning, guys. Today we're back working on the Fort Meade Fishing Club rods, the three that have the marbling under the reel seat. And we're going to glue these up, and there's a couple extra steps in there that I don't normally do, but you'll see what they are next, so stick around. Okay, so we got these three rods to do. What I have done since you saw these rods last, we did the marbling, and then I came back and did a test fit on the reel seats, and they were still a little loose. Yeah, take a phone call. All right, brother, I'm gonna get back to building this rod, and I'll start yours here in a week or so. See you, bud. Okay, where were we? That was client calling in and ordering the rod, inshore. So I did a test fit, and the original marbling, I was worried I didn't want to be too thick. So I wanted to be a little light, which was fine. So I came back with a clear over it and the rest of the handle, just to start protecting the marbling, and it fits pretty nicely. It's got just a little bit of play, but that's fine. So now what I want to do is I want to mark this for my arbors, because I'm going to do probably 3 arbors here. So that's the outside of the glue area. And I want to do a 1/2 inch arbor right behind it. And I want to do a 1/2 inch arbor in front of the forward opening, which is going to be right there. So that's my middle arbor. This is going to be my front arbor. This one's going to be my rear arbor. And there's a reason I'm choosing these locations, because I want to build arbors that are tight, that will hold the epoxy where it needs to be, and not wound up in the exposed area, so it cuts down on how much cleaning you have to do. So let's build this middle arbor first, because this is the one that's going to act like a squeegee, I guess, to hold the epoxy in this opening here, and you'll have direct contact with the blank to the reel seat, and that's exactly like I wanted. It's pretty snug. Because what will happen is we're going to have epoxy here, and as we come forward with it, it's going to want to drag the epoxy, and this, and instead of it falling out in the opening areas here, it's going to catch it on this arbor and keep it in here where we want it. So that one's nice and tight. So tighten this one up a little bit here. We're going to put a lot of epoxy here in the back, because we're not going to be carrying it all the way back like we normally do. And then we're going to arbor up the front so it's nice and centered. Just a little wiggle here still. I got to get these done this morning, because Nathan is coming in this afternoon to start with the wrapping of these guides. So the time's kind of slipping away from us here. We've been 3 or 4 days since it's been 3 or 4 days since we've been able to work on them, just with the other stuff that happens in life. All right, so I'm good with this. We're going to put epoxy from this 1/4 inch tape to here. We're going to skip this so it cuts down on how much cleanup we got to do. And then we're going to put epoxy from here, and hopefully fill this gap completely, so as we squeeze it together, everything's got a nice solid contact. So let's get some sticky stuff out. Got the popsicle sticks. Uh-oh. Gotta find some more popsicle sticks. Plate. I'm not going to need much. There's not a lot of gap to fill. So we have, here's our spine. That's going to be trigger. Up tight. We're not going to need much of epoxy to fill those gaps. We're going to go ahead and knock one out at a time because there's going to be a lot of cleanup to do to make sure the exposed area really looks pretty. I don't want to try pushing. I don't want to rush and not get it really clean. So we'll mix this up real quick. Before I start mixing, actually, I'll get some paper towels down, get some alcohol down. We got some squares cut already. Because we really, there's nothing worse than making this look really cool underneath and then not getting it clean and you kick yourself because it could have been even prettier. But we're going to try not to do that. I'm going to knock this out. Mix these up real quick. All we're looking for is a uniform color. Not really a time on this, it's just get rid of the streaking because you had a white and a pink, now you just really need a light pink. And that looks pretty good. Okay, so carefully, because we don't want to put an excess amount. Again, only because we don't want to do a lot of cleanup. And we're going to have a lot anyway, and you'll see here in a minute what I'm talking about. We want to make sure we're out in front of the arbor, and then we'll wipe that back off before we pull that front tape and get a nice clean, solid epoxy. And we're going to get back here and we're going to get, we don't want much at all on this middle arbor, but we want the epoxy level with that middle arbor, because that middle arbor was fitting pretty tight, and there I just dropped some right in the area I'm going to clean off, and it's right in the exposed area. And that's going to be quite a bit in there. Okay, pretty good. I'm happy with that for now. We'll see how much it scrapes off. Do a little bit more here in the rear to make sure we get a good bond between the rear seat and the rear grip. And that's going to be probably too much, but I'd rather have a little too much in there. We'll clean it off. So, alright. Fingers are not sticky. There's our trigger. Now, this is where you just got to be real slow and careful not to drag a bunch. Into your exposed part. And we drag a little bit, but not too bad. Alright, there's the okay. I didn't push it up tight, but we are squeezing epoxy out the back, which is good. We are squeezing a little bit out of the exposed area, which is not a bad thing. Just gonna have to remember to keep it clean. Now I got epoxy on my hands. I feel the sticky. Okay, now we're going to push it up tight. Squeeze the rest of that out. Still not up tight, but we're getting close. Just check our trigger. That's where we want it. I'm going to try to get most of this off with a dry paper towel before I start using the alcohol, only because I don't want to weaken the bond of the epoxy by drowning it in alcohol and drowning the epoxy that we want to stay on the blank in alcohol. So we want to make sure we get this one really clean. This is where you're going to feel it with your finger. Add a little bit we drug in, got a little bit here, on the top. Alright, that looks pretty good. Let's pull it back up tight one more time. And peel the marking tape off. That's a pretty good amount. I'll probably add a little bit underneath that front of that rail seat. Because I will do an epoxy ramp here in a couple days. Especially with the weather forecast for Sunday. We've got the MLF guys coming in for the heavy hitters starting Saturday, so I'm probably going to be on the water. Keeping an eye on those guys. And taking some video maybe. But Sunday looks like nasty thunderstorms again, so I'll probably be back in here Sunday. And we're going to need to get these finished up soon anyway, so that'll work out fine. Alright, now it's time for some alcohol. I got the bulk of the leftover epoxy off. Now I just want to get the residue that's left on the blank and on the reel seat off. And I'll probably come back and do this again in about 10 minutes after I glue up the next one, just to make sure I've got all of the residue off of the parts that we don't want epoxy residue. And it's looking pretty good now. It's a little tacky, but I think I've got the bulk of it gone. A little bit more clean up here. You gotta be careful with your amount of alcohol you put on your thread epoxy too, because it will soften and get tacky for a little bit, but then it hardens up again once the alcohol dries out of it. I think that's what I was feeling right there, is I just put a little too much alcohol on epoxy that's only a few days old. Okie doke. That's one. I'll do the other two. Nathan will come in and start the wrapping. We are doing these conventional wrapped. Next video, I'll give you the design for the guide spacing. Then we'll do the custom labels that I had Foundation Outdoors do for me, and we'll balance the rod. So anyway, that's it for today. Short video, I know, but thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.